Number 41, got tattoos. I hate needles. I can't get blood drawn without drama. I tell them not to tell me when they're putting the needle in, and I look away and hold on to something or someone for dear life. If they tell me when they're about to do it, I literally rip my arm away and there's blood and bruising. So what the hell made me think that I could handle getting a tattoo? This damn list, that's what. I had decided that I wanted tattoos on my wrists and right hand at the base of my thumb. I struggle so much with fear and need a daily reminder that I'm safe and that it's safe to let go. I'm also scared to write, to tell my story, because as I've mentioned before, I don't fully feel like I own my story. My story is full of other people's stories that don't make them look very good. It's hard to tell your story when you are protecting others, but here I am. Although I try to remind myself that I'm not doing it to protect them, I'm doing it to protect myself from them. Rob and I had dropped Molly off at a friend's house in the city for a play date. I knew I wanted to get the tattoos that day, so we went to one that was recommended, but they were closed. I was determined to get it done immediately because I knew that if I didn't, I never would. We drove past another place and I Googled as we looked for parking. I looked at reviews and they were good, and they accepted walk-ins. Done. I had a plan to get the words on my wrist in Gaelic, but they didn't fit, so I had to figure out a different language that used fewer characters. I landed on French and then wanted to verify that I was in fact using the correct word in the context of what I wanted it to mean. I thought about who I know that's French or that speaks French, and I remembered the young woman I had baited for earlier on my list. I wrote her, and thankfully young women in Paris don't sleep, so she responded quickly. We went back and forth about meaning, especially about let go, and she was able to help me. I was so grateful that I had reached out to her to beta and had built enough of a relationship that I could feel comfortable asking her to help on this. Without the list, I would never have met her, and most likely would never have been getting the tattoos to begin with. On my left wrist, I have the word safe in French. On the right wrist, I have the words let go in French, and on my thumb, I have the letter W in Urdu, which looks a lot like a heart. The W stands for right. I was going to have the word right in Urdu. It's quite pretty, but it turns out that it would have been more like a giant hand tattoo. Luckily, the W is perfect all by itself, and it would still remind me to write. It's a reminder that I'm safe to use my voice. It's a reminder to be brave and that there are lots of ways for me to tell my story. As Rob and I were sitting in the waiting area working out the tattoo situation, the song This Will Be Our Year by the Zombies came on the radio. We both looked at each other with happy surprise on our faces. It was a sign that we were in the right place at exactly the right time. That was the song we first heard at the beginning of the year that had become our anthem. We had never heard it on the radio before. It was a great reminder that we were on the mend. This will be our year. Took a long time to come. The tattoo artist and I had a talk about proper placement, like where it should hit on the wrist and the direction it should face. Yeah, you're going to have to throw away any professional expertise with me. I was having none of the rules. This is for me and only me, so it has to face me. It needs to be small and all the way up by my hand. There's a space that doesn't crease when I bend my wrist. Let's put it there. Also, hand tattoos are not recommended because they fade. Look, I'm frickin' 50. I assure you that I have no F's left to give in any area of my life. I promise to never tell anyone who did this to me, and I'm willing to sign a waiver that says I'm an idiot who doesn't respect the rules of tattoo professionals. She agreed to those conditions, and I got all 3 tattoos that day. The thumb one wasn't too bad. The wrists hurt. There was no fat there. I could have literally picked any other body part and found plenty of fat, but I picked this particular spot, which is just veins and pain. When I was finished, I texted with a friend who reminded me that I was supposed to get one of those tattoos with her and her daughter. Oops. And my niece who reminded me that I was supposed to get one of those tattoos done with her. Oops. So now I'm getting 2 more tattoos because I'm impulsive. I'm going to find a fattier area next time, though. Sometimes bravery is writing your story where everyone can see. Episodes of Broken to Brave are released every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you so much for listening and for joining me on this journey of healing and growth. If you want to go deeper into this story and hear it from a spouse's perspective, my husband and I have a Patreon-only show where we have an extended, behind-the-scenes discussion of every episode, which also posts twice a week. Here's a sample of our latest Patreon-only companion podcast. This may not be that shocking for a lot of people, but for me, I hate needles. Terrified,
yes.
I couldn't donate blood because I couldn't get my finger pricked.
Right. No, I remember going up to the counter. I got my finger pricked, and then you walked up and went hysterical.
And they still did it, and then I complained for 3 days.
Right.
No, or longer.
But you didn't give blood because you were like, oh, we're like, okay, you're not going in there.
No. But I seriously...
I bet to this day, if you really looked, you could find where that finger prick was from.
Yeah, I could still
30
feel
years
it.
ago.
I could still feel it.
Yeah.
So and when I would go into the doctor, if I had to have blood drawn, I had to look away, I had to hold on to somebody, and someone had to distract me, and I was like, so help me God if you tell me when you're doing it, because what happened more than once was I would rip.
Yeah,
they would say it, and then I would just instinctively go into fight or flight and rip my arm out, and then they would yell at me because then it would be chaos.
Right.
So,
God forbid you actually give blood when they go into that vein, because you've got to keep your arm still when they're pushing it in, and they push it in kind of slowly.
Yeah.
So you would...
No, I would not do so well.
Yeah. You would have a
So
problem.
the fact that I never wanted... My friends have tons of... I have friends who are covered in tattoos. Literally, covered, have sleeves and, they're every part of their body practically except their heads are covered in tattoos. And I have never really wanted one for myself. I never thought that there was something that I would want to.
That's not quite true. Back when we lived in Minneapolis.
No, I didn't want a tattoo. I wanted a nose ring.
I thought you wanted a tattoo.
I knew you were going to bring that up. No, I wanted a nose ring.
Oh.
And I never did it because they would itch. I think everyone who I know.
And it's also a needle going into your nose.
Well, okay, there's that. And I'm also allergic. I have my ears pierced, and they had to close up because I was allergic to every single thing. I mean, I couldn't even wear solid gold.
Right.
I just was, no. And so I knew I couldn't get my nose pierced, but I never wanted a tattoo.
Oh,
and I would watch it. Even Scully got one on X-Files, and I didn't want a tattoo. If I was going to get one, it would have been because Scully got one.
And you would have gotten the same one. You would have gotten that.
The Ouroboros.
Yes, the Ouroboros.
So I didn't. And so that should tell you that I did not have any intention of ever getting a tattoo.
Right.
And I couldn't think of anything that I would still like later on. What am I going to put on there that I'm not going to go, yeah, I hate this, in 5 minutes, because that's just my personality.
Right. No, actually, I understand that, because I remember it might have been you saying I should get a tattoo. Somebody was telling me, oh, you should do it sometime. And it was I wasn't completely opposed to it, but I also was like, what do you get that doesn't turn into douche in if you got...
When did someone say?
This was in Minneapolis.
Oh, not when I was getting mine.
It might have been when you wanted to get your nose pierced and you were saying you should get a tattoo, and I was like
I don't think I ever said...
oh, I like Star Wars. As soon as you get a Star Wars tattoo, they put out a crappy movie and you're like, I don't want a Star Wars tattoo.
Yeah.
I remember that, or when people get
it wouldn't have been me saying that.
They get a Chinese symbol, and it's okay, first of all, you're not Chinese,
but then you find out
it means something like
poop or something.
Yeah.
Poop.
Ironically, that's the tattoo I was getting.
The poop tattoo.
Hey, can I get poop on my arm?
A tat poo. Shut up! Don't even humor me on that one.
Oh man!
So, yeah, I don't think that I would have ever recommended you get a tattoo.
I thought you had said it. Somebody had said it.
Gene.
Yeah, probably.
Gene.
And I just, to me, it was it's way too. It was way too hard to commit to something like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I always thought. First of all, no way is somebody coming at me with ink and putting it under my skin. Okay.
Right.
Second of all, no one's touching me with a needle. And third of all, what the hell would I choose that I wouldn't then go, oh, yeah, I'm going to regret that.
Yeah,
you know
right.
I mean?
It's a permanent part of your body. And it's a hard...
To hear the rest of this episode and get other exclusives, become a patron to Broken to Brave at patreon.com. You can also follow my blog at brokentobrave.com for even more insights and engaging content. Links are in the show notes. Broken to Brave is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted and written by me, Martha Southgate. Thank you so much for listening. Now go do something brave.